Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the English with Gemma podcast. And yes, I am as tired as I look. Seasonal depression is no joke. I'm just kidding. I'm not actually depressed, but dude, every year this happens. Every year around like November, I start feeling tired. I don't want to leave the house. It's getting darker earlier, and like I don't know. I'm not feeling it, you guys. I'm not feeling it. I'm not feeling it so much that I forgot to say my intro, but that's okay. If you've been listening for a while, you probably already know it. So, as I am a little bit low energy, today's going to be a quick episode, and it is one of our weird news stories. So, this story was suggested to me by a listener, and it's kind of an old story, but it's a classic. I don't know if you're going to know it. Depends what country you're from, but yeah, let's just jump into it. I don't need to be mysterious. I don't have the energy to be mysterious today. Okay, so weird news. Episode 2. The giant mysterious rubber duck. Lots of adjectives, a little bit confusing. Let's get into it. So, yeah, basically, a giant rubber duck took the world by surprise. It all started in 2013. Imagine you're in the harbor of a peaceful, picturesque city. Let's say you're in Sydney, Australia. You're enjoying a calm day by the water, maybe sipping a latte, when suddenly the silence is broken by the loud squawk of a giant rubber duck. Yeah, you heard that right. A massive inflatable rubber duck the size of a house appears in the water, casually floating along like it's no big deal. But this wasn't just some random inflatable toy, this was a global sensation. So, how did a giant rubber duck end up in the middle of Sydney Harbor? It all began with this Dutch artist called, oof, I'm going to kill the pronunciation. I apologize to any Dutch listeners. Florentine Hoffman. I'm going to go with Florentine, even though there's a J in this name. It just feels right. Florentine Hoffman, who has a reputation as an artist for creating these larger than life art installations, often with a quirky twist. His masterpiece, the enormous inflatable rubber duck, measuring 50 feet across. Do not ask me what that is in meters. You're going to have to ask Mr. Google because I don't understand meters. I only understand feet. 50 feet across. But it wasn't just any duck. No, this floating art piece was meant to be just a funny visual joke. Sorry, wasn't meant to be just a funny visual joke. It had a deeper meaning, according to the artist. So, Hoffman, who's known for creating these oversized art installations, like, for example, a giant smiling panda and the humongous floating yellow duck. He said that the purpose of this art is to spread joy and joyfulness to everyone who sees it. And let me tell you, it worked. The moment that this giant rubber duck hit the water in Sydney, it turned heads, and soon the world. At first, the people of Sydney were kind of caught off guard. I mean, wouldn't you be if you saw a giant yellow inflatable rubber duck? Imagine the scene, families just walking along the waterfront and then suddenly stopping in their tracks, eyes wide, looking at this massive, bright yellow, squeaky duck. The duck even had little details like a huge orange beak and flapping wings that made it feel more like a giant creature from a children's story than an inflatable sculpture. But it didn't stop in Sydney. The giant rubber duck did not stay in one place. It was a traveling duck. In fact, it traveled around the world, becoming a traveling art installation. After its debut in Australia, the duck made appearances in places like Hong Kong, Los Angeles, and even New Zealand, causing global excitement anywhere it went. People just couldn't get enough of this duck. Some even started to call it the world's most famous inflatable. And the world wasn't just charmed by its quirky appearance. There was almost something magical about seeing a giant, soft, childlike object floating serenely in a harbor. It was like this kind of surreal dream that left you with a sense of wonder. It even became a symbol of international goodwill. Somehow, this silly duck really brought people together. And I remember this. I remember seeing, obviously, I didn't see it in person, but I remember seeing so many pictures of this friggin' duck everywhere. Like, I don't know if we maybe studied something about it in school, but like it was a big deal. It was like a very well-known event going on at the time. So, unfortunately, as with most weird news stories, this took a twist. In 2018, a version of the giant rubber duck went missing in Taiwan. I'm trying so hard to be serious about this. Okay. Oof, let me compose myself. Oh, okay. So the duck went missing in Taiwan. Authorities confirmed that the duck had been stolen from a public harbor where it was being displayed for an event. You guys, I'm crying. Oh my God. While the rubber duck eventually resurfaced safe and sound, thank goodness. My own script is making me cry with laughter. I had a straight face the whole time I was writing this script. I just didn't realize how ridiculous it was going to sound when I said it out loud. Okay. Get it together, Gemma. Be professional. If you wanted professionalism, you need to listen to a different podcast. You're not going to get that here. Okay, so the duck resurfaced safe and sound, thank goodness. It left behind a trail of unanswered questions. Who would steal a giant inflatable duck and why? Maybe it was a prank, or maybe someone just couldn't resist the allure of a giant rubber duck. Either way, the mystery added yet another layer to this already absurd story. I'm okay. If you are just a podcast listener and not a YouTube watcher, you need to come over to YouTube to see the fact that I'm crying actual tears on camera right now. Oh my God. It really tickles me to think of a giant duck being stolen like in a serious way. Okay. So whew, yeah, we don't know why they stole the duck, basically. We don't know. But of course, it didn't end there. The rubber duck continued its international tour, spreading joy wherever it went, and even inspiring smaller replicas, which means like copies, and fan art. Who would have thought that a simple childhood toy could become such a global phenomenon? Here's the thing. The giant rubber duck is more than just an art installation or a tourist attraction. It's a reminder of the strange, unexpected ways that joy can manifest in our world. And let me tell you, this duck story has brought me like so much joy. I did not expect to laugh that much. So I think this is really important, these types of things, even though this was a few years ago, in a time where we feel like we're always facing, I mean, we feel like, or it's the reality that we're always facing serious problems. Sometimes something as simple as a giant duck can break through the noise and bring a smile to our faces. So I really enjoy art like this. I cannot say I'm a huge art connoisseur. I don't know much about art, but I really enjoy fun art, lighthearted art, things that are surreal and playful and evoke joy. I mean, I also like serious pieces of art and, more kind of like dark themes, but for me, like the art that I enjoy the most is joyful art and things that are kind of childlike and funny. So this is totally my cup of tea. So, hey, next time you're walking along by a body of water, keep your eyes peeled. You never know when a giant rubber duck might appear, reminding us all that life does not have to be so serious. Maybe we all just need a little bit more whimsy in our life. So that's it for today's episode of Strange News Stories. I hope you got a giggle out of this. My eyes are still watering after all that laughing. Um, that really tickled me. I don't know why. Just the fact that the duck was stolen. How do you even steal something that large? Like how does one go about stealing something? Like that for me it's just I can imagine the ridiculousness and the logistics of having to actually try and steal something that large that like that's what makes me laugh. Like not the fact that the duck was stolen, just the fact of like how like I need to know like did they have a giant boat, did they deflate the duck and transport it deflated? Like I have so many questions. Who knows, maybe I'll look into it and I will let you know in the next episode of Strange News. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching or listening. As always, if you have any suggestions for me, pop them in the comments below and keep yourself happy and healthy and safe. And I will see you next week. Bye.